The XL-4 warships descend through Earth's atmosphere like metallic leviathans, their hulls reflecting the panicked city lights below. Humanity's hastily assembled defense fleet is obliterated within minutes, not even worthy of the aliens' full attention. The message is clear: resist and perish. In the aftermath, the vast galactic hegemony offers a merciful proposition: become a protectorate species in exchange for limited technological advancement and protection. The alternative isn't stated but hangs unspoken in the air during the global broadcast. Captain Maya Chen watches from a dingy bar as Earth's leaders capitulate, her fists clenched around a glass that finally shatters in her grip. 3 months later, Maya, a brilliant naval officer court-martialed for disobeying orders that would have sacrificed civilians, is unexpectedly reinstated with a backhanded honor. She's to command Earth's required contribution to the hegemony fleet, a single retrofitted vessel christened the Aeon's Harbinger. Your ship is garbage, a towering XL-4 officer named Krelivor informs her at the commissioning ceremony, mandibles clicking in what she recognizes as amusement. And your crew, the dregs your species was eager to discard. Maya meets her assembled team: a trauma surgeon with a painkiller addiction, a prodigy engineer dismissed for dangerous innovations, a navigational savant with behavioral issues, and dozens more, all brilliant, all broken in ways their superiors found inconvenient. Their assignment: patrol duty in a sector so insignificant it doesn't even warrant a proper name, just a designation. Outer Rim Monitoring Zone 42C. When Maya addresses her crew for the first time in the Harbinger's cavernous hold, she doesn't offer false hope or inspiring rhetoric. They expect us to fail, she tells them, her voice echoing against the metal walls. They're counting on it. The only question is, how spectacularly will we disappoint them? The Harbinger's maiden voyage reveals the true extent of their predicament. The ship itself is a patchwork of mismatched technologies. Earth's best efforts integrated with salvaged alien components the hegemony deemed obsolete. Environmental systems fluctuate wildly. Gravity fails in random sections. The navigation interface displays instructions in 5 different languages, none of them human. Dr. Sato, their chief engineer, leads Maya through the labyrinthine engine room, pointing out jury-rigged solutions he's already implemented. The hegemony techs who installed these systems didn't bother to check compatibility. It's like they wanted critical failures. They do, Maya replies simply. Document everything. Every slight, every sabotage, every impossible standard they set for us. Their first week in space brings 3 system failures, a near-fatal decompression event, and increasingly condescending check-ins from Hegemony Command. The crew works double shifts just to keep the Harbinger functional. Yet something unexpected emerges from the crucible of their shared struggle: a fierce cohesion, a defiant camaraderie. During the 3rd week, they encounter their first alien vessel, a Praetorian trading ship with engine troubles. The Hegemony Protocol Manual, all 12,000 pages of it, explicitly forbids offering assistance without prior authorization. Maya tosses the manual aside and orders her crew to help anyway. The grateful Praetorian captain, a methane-breathing invertebrate with remarkable musical abilities, shares something invaluable in return: unfiltered information about the sector they patrol. The Hegemony's briefings had conveniently omitted that Outer Rim Monitoring Zone 42C sits at the convergence of 3 contested territories, with increasing reports of raids by mysterious vessels the locals call the Harvesters. Your superiors sent you here to die, the Praetorian captain tells Maya through the translation matrix. This sector has claimed 16 patrol vessels in the past cycle alone. That night, Maya gathers her senior officers in her quarters, the only space she's certain isn't monitored by hegemony surveillance. We've been set up to fail, she tells them, but that doesn't mean we have to follow their script. From now on, we play by our rules. Lieutenant Park, their tactical officer, looks skeptical. How exactly do we outmaneuver a galactic power that considers us slightly more valuable than bacteria? Maya's smile is razor-sharp. We start by remembering what the hegemony has forgotten. Sometimes the most dangerous thing in the universe is a desperate species with nothing to lose. 62 days of mind-numbing patrol duty passes before the Harbinger's comms crackle with a fragmentary distress signal. The message originates from Outpost Helios, a hegemony research station that, according to Maya's unauthorized digging into restricted files, is studying something classified enough to make her pulse quicken. The Harbinger arrives to a nightmare. Sleek obsidian ships with blade-like protrusions swarming the outpost. Evacuation pods burst from the station only to be hunted down with methodical precision. On the main view screen, Maya watches as one pod is captured in a crimson beam that peels its hull away like skin. "Vex hunters," whispers Krelvor, his typical arrogance replaced by naked fear. "We must retreat and await proper hegemony forces." That is an order. Maya's order is different. Tactical. Give me firing solutions that place us between those pods and the hunters. Engineering. Divert all non-essential power to shields and engines. Navigation. Plot us a high-velocity approach vector with maximum unpredictability. What follows is a battle unlike anything in hegemony records. The Harbinger moves with suicidal audacity, executing maneuvers the ship was never designed for. Maya draws on guerrilla warfare tactics, using the outpost to brisfield for cover, employing feints and ambushes that leave the methodical Vex ships vulnerable to devastating counterattacks. When the last Vex ship retreats, the Harbinger's hull is scorched and breached in 17 places. 28 crew members are dead or injured, and Maya herself sports a gash across her forehead that drips blood onto her console. The survivors from Outpost Helios, primarily xenobiologists and dimensional physicists, stare at their human rescuers with expressions ranging from gratitude to horror. The footage of the battle spreads despite official attempts to suppress it, and a new phrase enters the hegemony lexicon: combat insanity, the supposedly unique human capacity to function tactically while engaging in behavior no rational species would consider. In the classified report filed by a shaken Krelvor, he makes an observation that will change everything. During peak combat, biosensors detected anomalous neural activity across all human crew members. Symmetrical patterns matching no known cognitive function. More disturbing still, these patterns appeared to momentarily synchronize with energy fluctuations emanating from the ship itself. The Harbinger limps to Waystation Epsilon for emergency repairs, the ship's corridors still bearing the scars of battle. Exposed conduits, bloodstains impossible to completely remove, makeshift memorials for the fallen. In the medical bay, Dr. Kwan struggles to treat the wounded with dwindling supplies, her own addiction temporarily forgotten amidst the crisis. Maya finds Lieutenant Park in the tactical center, obsessively reviewing battle footage. "The Vex should have destroyed us," Park says without looking up. "Their technology is at least 3 generations beyond ours. Their tactical algorithms should have predicted our every move." "But they didn't," Maya replies, studying the holographic replay of a Vex ship shattering under the Harbinger's assault. "No," Park agrees. "It's as if they couldn't process our decisions fast enough. Like we were operating outside their predictive parameters." The revelation comes during a mandatory debriefing with Admiral Zextral, the hegemony's sector commander. His massive form fills the view screen, mandibles twitching with barely contained fury. "You disobeyed direct orders, violated 16 protocols, and exposed a classified research operation," he hisses. "Give me one reason why I shouldn't have your ship scrapped and your crew imprisoned." Maya stands perfectly still before the camera. "Because we won." The Admiral's compound eyes narrow. "Momentary success through primitive recklessness is not victory, Captain Chen. The Vex adapt. Next time, we'll have better patterns." Maya interrupts. "We've analyzed their attack sequences. They're algorithmic, precise but predictable once you identify the parameters." This is a calculated lie. The truth, which Maya shares only with her inner circle after the transmission ends, is far more significant. The Vex don't adapt to chaos. Their systems are designed for opponents who follow logical progression. We confused them by being unpredictable. Dr. Sato, still covered in engine grease from emergency repairs, shakes his head. That advantage won't last. They'll incorporate randomness into their next encounter. Then we'll be more random, Maya counters. More human. The one thing the hegemony and the Vex have in common, they both think in straight lines. We don't. That night, as the Harbinger's crew works frantically to repair critical systems, Krelvor finds Maya alone on the observation deck. For a long moment, the XL Thori officer says nothing, merely studying her with unreadable compound eyes. "You should not have survived today," he finally says. Maya doesn't look away from the stars. "I know. Your tactics violated every established combat doctrine. Your maneuvers exceeded the structural tolerances of your vessel. Your decision to engage at all defied all statistical models for survival." Now she turns to face him. "Are you here to arrest me, Observer Krelvor?" The alien's mandibles click softly. A sound Maya has learned indicates deep uncertainty. "I am here to understand." "Captain, I need to report something unusual." Maya studies the ship's chief medical officer, Dr. Eliza Kwan, renowned trauma surgeon, current functioning addict, who stands in her quarters at 300 hours, looking haggard. 57 crew members have reported identical nightmares in the past week. Identical, Captain. Down to the same sequences of symbols none of them recognize. The nightmares begin as the Harbinger passes through a particular sector on their patrol route. Maintenance reports equipment malfunctions, doors opening to empty corridors, gravity fluctuations in sealed compartments, communications picking up whispers in no known language. Maya herself wakes drenched in sweat night after night, her mind filled with impossible architectures and a desperate voice she can almost understand. When the ship suffers catastrophic engine failure, they're forced to dock at Waystation 17, a decrepit outpost at the edge of traveled space. While repairs are underway, Maya's engineer, Dr. Sato, discovers a restricted terminal with outdated security. What they uncover shatters everything they've been told. Historical archives speak of the Morpheus Collective, beings that existed as energy patterns capable of inhabiting both physical structures and consciousness itself. The hegemony didn't just fight them, they committed genocide, driven by fear of a species that could literally enter their dreams. Maya pieces together the horrifying truth when she cross-references the salvage manifests used to construct the Harbinger. The central core components were harvested from a derelict vessel of unknown origin, discovered in Earth's Kuiper Belt, a Morpheus ship, dormant but not dead. It's not haunting us, Maya realizes during a clandestine meeting with her senior staff. It's trying to wake up, and it's chosen us specifically. She shows them brain scans taken during crew members' nightmares, comparing them to classified hegemony records of Morpheus neural patterns. The hegemony species can't interface with Morpheus technology. Their brains aren't compatible, but ours are. Krelvor erupts into the meeting, mandibles flared in alarm. "You must cease this investigation immediately. This knowledge is forbidden for your protection." "Our protection?" Maya challenges, stepping closer to the towering alien. "Or yours? What are you afraid we'll learn if the ship keeps talking to us?" That night, Maya does something forbidden. Instead of taking the sedatives distributed to prevent the night terrors, she lies in her quarters and deliberately opens her mind to the whispers that have plagued her dreams. For the first time, she listens. The symbols from her nightmares materialize behind her closed eyelids, a language of pulsing geometries that somehow conveys meaning directly to her mind. She sees glimpses of crystalline cities folded through dimensions, feels the elation of consciousness unbound by physical form, tastes the bitterness of betrayal as hegemony weapons tear through realities to destroy what they fear. When Maya wakes, tear tracks stain her face, but her eyes burn with newfound purpose. The ship's doctor finds her in the meditation room typically used by non-human crew. "You didn't take the sedative," Dr. Kwan observes, scanning Maya's pupils. Your neurotransmitter levels are off the charts. I made contact, Maya says simply. It showed me things, histories wiped from hegemony records. Eliza, we got it all wrong. The Morpheus weren't aggressors. They were refugees. And now their legacy is embedded in our ship. Dr. Kwan's skepticism is palpable. That's assuming these visions are real and not some form of mass hallucination or psychological attack. There's one way to find out. Maya activates her comm. Dr. Sato, meet me in Auxiliary Engineering, Section 7. The Auxiliary Engineering Chamber houses the Harbinger's mysterious central core, a spherical structure of unknown alloy that hegemony technicians claimed was merely an advanced power regulator. Maya dismisses the duty crew, seals the doors, and approaches the quietly humming sphere. The neural patterns from our nightmares match energy fluctuations from this core, she explains to Sato and Kwan. Identical frequencies, identical amplitudes. Dr. Sato runs trembling fingers across his console. If I'm reading this correctly, the core isn't just communicating with us. It's learning from us. Each nightmare cycle increases the synchronization. What happens when synchronization is complete? Kwan asks. The answer comes not from Maya, but from Krelvor, who emerges from the shadows of the chamber. How long he's been there, none of them can say. The ship will awaken, the XL-4 says quietly. And when it does, the hegemony will destroy it, and everyone aboard, without hesitation or mercy. Maya studies her alien observer, noting the subtle changes in his posture since the battle with the Vex, the lessened rigidity, the occasional unguarded expression. You knew, she says, from the very beginning, you knew what this ship really was. I suspected, Krelvor corrects. Now I am certain, and I face an impossible choice, which is, the XL-4's compound eyes reflect the pulsing light of the core, to fulfill my duty to the hegemony that raised me, or to prevent the repetition of the greatest atrocity my species ever committed. The Harbinger's comms officer intercepts Krelvor, attempting to transmit an encrypted message to Hegemony Command. Maya has him confined to quarters, a violation that could end with her execution, but she's beyond caring about hegemony regulations. During her next dream connection with the Morpheus presence, Maya experiences memories that aren't her own, vast crystal cities existing in multiple dimensions simultaneously. The horror of watching those cities shatter under hegemony weapons designed specifically to disrupt consciousness itself. The desperate plan to hide dormant ships throughout the galaxy, waiting for compatible minds to reawaken them. Maya convenes her inner circle in the ship's rarely used hydroponics bay, one of the few spaces not monitored by hegemony systems. Earth wasn't offered protectorate status because the hegemony suddenly discovered our potential, she tells them, her voice low. They detected the dormant Morpheus ship in our system and needed us, needed human neurological patterns, to access it. Dr. Sato presents his findings. The Harbinger isn't just built with Morpheus technology. It contains something they call a Nexus key. It's designed to reestablish contact with surviving Morpheus enclaves scattered throughout the galaxy. Their revelation is interrupted by an emergency broadcast. Vex ships have launched simultaneous attacks across 3 systems. The Harbinger, along with all available patrol vessels, is ordered to fall back to Hegemony Command for strategic reassignment. But Maya's tactical officer, Lieutenant Park, has been analyzing Vex attack patterns for weeks. This doesn't make sense, she insists. The Vex are strategically brilliant, but these attacks are too obvious, too predictable, almost as if they're being guided, Maya finishes, or herded. Their suspicions are confirmed when they decrypt fragments of high-level hegemony communications. The attacks are being monitored as some kind of experiment. The supposedly critical outpost Helios they saved was actually a research station studying Vex behavior, and now studying human-Vex interactions. The next likely target is New Thessaly, a colony with 8 million inhabitants, but the hegemony is deliberately withholding defensive resources. In her quarters, Maya faces Krelvor, who has been brought under guard. "Your people are using mine as lab rats," she accuses. The Exalthori's outer mandibles quiver, a sign of conflict Maya has learned to recognize. "The situation is more complex than you understand, Captain. The Vex are merely instruments of something far worse." "Then help me understand," Maya challenges. "Because right now, I have a ship full of people receiving direct communication from a species your hegemony tried to eradicate, and I'm starting to think they had good reason to hide from you." Krelvor's next words change everything. "The Morpheus weren't destroyed because they were a threat to us. They were destroyed because they warned us to stop expanding. We didn't listen." As the Harbinger receives direct orders to abandon New Thessaly to its fate, Maya makes the decision that will brand them all as traitors. Navigation. Set course for New Thessaly. Maximum speed. We're going to save those people, with or without hegemony approval. The journey to New Thessaly takes the Harbinger through restricted space, each jump bringing fresh warnings from hegemony command. Maya ignores them all. As the ship's crew prepares for battle, something shifts in their collective consciousness, a deepening of the connection with the vessel itself. Systems respond more fluidly, almost anticipating commands. Repair crews report materials behaving in impossible ways, self-mending under their touch. "It's evolving," Dr. Sato whispers as he monitors the core's energy patterns. The synchronization is accelerating. In the break, hastily converted from a storage compartment, Krelvor receives an unexpected visitor. Dr. Kwan enters with her medical scanner, ostensibly performing a routine check. "The captain doesn't know I'm here," she says quietly, checking that the surveillance is looped as instructed by Lieutenant Park. "But we need answers before we reach New Thessaly. What aren't you telling us about the Vex?" The Exalthori seems to collapse in on himself, his typically rigid posture softening. "The Vex were created as hunters, biological constructs designed to harvest genetic material and technology. But they were never meant to be autonomous." "Created by whom?" "We don't have words in your language for them. They exist in a universe adjacent to ours, where entropy flows backward. Where we build and grow, they consume and decay. The Morpheus called them the Void Eaters." Dr. Kwan's scanner beeps as Krelvor's vital signs spike. "And the breach. The one the Morpheus warned about. Every time our ships use advanced FTL drives, they create microscopic tears in the barrier between universes. The Morpheus could repair these tears. We thought they were attacking our ships. They were trying to protect us from ourselves." His compound eyes fix on hers. The Harbinger contains the last known Nexus key, a device that can reestablish contact with surviving Morpheus enclaves. The hegemony doesn't want to destroy it. They want to control it. When Kwan brings this information to Maya, the captain's face hardens. "And New Thessaly, why sacrifice 8 million civilians?" The colony sits at a dimensional weak point. The Vex attacks aren't random. They're probing for entry vectors. The hegemony is studying how the barriers between universes break down under coordinated assault. In the silence that follows, the ship's lighting flickers in patterns that match Maya's accelerating heartbeat. For the first time, she feels the Harbinger responding not just to her commands, but to her emotions. "They're using an entire colony as bait," she says finally, "to see what comes through from the other side." The battle above New Thessaly is brutal and short. The Harbinger manages to evacuate 36,000 colonists before taking a devastating hit that ruptures its primary power core. With hegemony pursuit vessels closing in and Vex hunters circling like vultures, Maya orders a desperate blind jump into uncharted space. They emerge in a debris field of ancient ships, atmosphere venting from multiple decks. Life support is failing, and their location is untraceable, lost in the vast emptiness between galactic arms. In the medical bay, turned makeshift emergency command center, Maya confronts the impossible choice: wait for death by suffocation or radiation, or attempt something that might kill them all instantly. The Morpheus ship isn't just hidden inside our ship, she tells her surviving officers. It's intertwined with it, and it's been trying to fully awaken through our dreams. Dr. Sato presents a hastily constructed neural interface cobbled together from medical equipment and salvaged Morpheus technology. This will either kill us, drive us insane, or, he hesitates. Or what? Demands the ship's security chief. Krelvor, now an uncertain ally, answers. Or it will make you something my people have feared since we first encountered the Morpheus. A true hybrid consciousness. Neither fully organic nor fully energy pattern. The procedure begins with the senior officers as radiation alarms wail throughout the dying ship. Maya goes first, the neural interface burning cold against her temples. Her consciousness expands beyond her body, flowing through the ship's systems, touching the minds of her crew, and finally meeting the ancient awareness that has been reaching for her through dreams. The transformation is witnessed by colony ships that had been trailing the Harbinger at a safe distance. They report seeing the human vessel begin to shimmer like a mirage, its hull flowing like liquid metal, sections of it becoming temporarily transparent or seemingly occupying multiple positions simultaneously. The ship's exterior develops intricate, shifting patterns that hurt the eyes of those who look at them too long. Inside, the crew experiences something beyond comprehension. Their consciousness remains individual yet connected, flowing through the ship like blood through veins. The Harbinger is no longer simply a vessel. It has become an extension of them, responding to thought as much as command. The transformed ship moves in ways that defy physics as the hegemony understands it, phasing partially into and out of normal space. When a Vex hunter finally locates them and attacks, the Harbinger doesn't just defend, it haunts, appearing and disappearing around its enemy, weaponizing the boundary between dimensions until the Vex ship tears itself apart trying to escape. Through their new connection, the crew learns the truth the Morpheus tried to warn the hegemony about centuries ago. The Vex aren't mere raiders. They're biomechanical drones created by entities that exist in a parallel universe. The hegemony's increasingly powerful FTL drives had been thinning the dimensional barriers, creating tiers that these entities exploit. The Morpheus had been guardians, maintaining the boundaries between realities until the hegemony destroyed them in their ignorance. As Maya stands on the bridge, now a cathedral-like space that responds to thought rather than physical controls, she feels the ship's hunger to hunt. The Vex have never encountered anything like us. She tells her crew, their thoughts mingling with hers through the ship's systems. Let's show them why humanity's nightmares are uniquely terrifying. Maya discovers that human consciousness carries something the Morpheus had never encountered: emotional memory. While Morpheus' perception existed as pure information, human minds add layers of feeling, context, and subjective interpretation. This cognitive architecture unlocks capabilities in the ship that even the Morpheus never accessed. Dr. Kwan, monitoring the neural integration from what remains of her medical bay, identifies a concerning pattern. Some crew members are losing their sense of individuality, she reports, her voice steady despite the fear in her eyes. Their brainwave patterns are harmonizing too completely with the ship. Is there a way to prevent it? Maya asks, struggling to maintain her own sense of self against the euphoric pull of complete integration. The drugs designed to suppress the nightmares might help maintain separation, Kwan suggests. Modified, of course. We need the connection, just not complete dissolution. While Kwan works to stabilize the crew's neural patterns, Maya and Lieutenant Park experiment with their new capabilities. They discover that by channeling specific emotional states, fear, aggression, protectiveness, they can manipulate how the ship interacts with space-time. Fear causes partial phasing, making the ship ghost-like and difficult to target. Aggression hardens the hull beyond normal material properties. Protectiveness generates shield-like fields that exist partially outside normal physics. Most disturbingly, they learn that negative emotions, hatred, vengeance, terror, produce the most powerful effects. When Maya accidentally channels her rage at the hegemony's betrayal, the resulting energy surge vaporizes a piece of debris the size of a shuttle without firing conventional weapons. This is why the hegemony feared the Morpheus. Krelvor observes as he struggles to adapt to the neural interface, his alien brain structure resisting full integration. Not because of what the Morpheus were, but because of what they might become if they ever found a species with your emotional capacity. The transformed Harbinger charts a course deeper into uncharted space, following coordinates embedded in the ship's ancestral memory. Dr. Sato, whose consciousness now flows through the ship's engineering systems like a ghost in the machine, reports a discovery. The Nexus key isn't just a communication device. He explains, his voice emanating from speakers throughout the ship rather than his physical body. It's the linchpin of a network designed to repair dimensional breaches. The Morpheus created a galactic immune system, and we're carrying its core component. As they approach the coordinates, a seemingly empty region between spiral arms, Maya feels a presence reaching out, ancient and patient, recognizing something familiar in the transformed ship. "We're not alone," she whispers as reality around them begins to fold like origami, revealing what was hidden. The Morpheus survived, and they've been waiting for us. The transformed ship moves in ways that defy physics as the hegemony understands it, phasing partially into and out of normal space. When a Vex hunter finally locates them and attacks, the Harbinger doesn't just defend, it haunts, appearing and disappearing around its enemy, weaponizing the boundary between dimensions until the Vex ship tears itself apart trying to escape. Through their new connection, the crew learns the truth the Morpheus tried to warn the hegemony about centuries ago. The Vex aren't mere raiders. They're biomechanical drones created by entities that exist in a parallel universe. The hegemony's increasingly powerful FTL drives had been thinning the dimensional barriers, creating tiers that these entities exploit. The Morpheus had been guardians, maintaining the boundaries between realities until the hegemony destroyed them in their ignorance. As Maya stands on the bridge, now a cathedral-like space that responds to thought rather than physical controls, she feels the ship's hunger to hunt. "The Vex have never encountered anything like us," she tells her crew, their thoughts mingling with hers through the ship's systems. "Let's show them why humanity's nightmares are uniquely terrifying." Maya discovers that human consciousness carries something the Morpheus had never encountered: emotional memory. While Morpheus' perception existed as pure information, human minds add layers of feeling, context, and subjective interpretation. This cognitive architecture unlocks capabilities in the ship that even the Morpheus never accessed. Dr. Kwan, monitoring the neural integration from what remains of her medical bay, identifies a concerning pattern. Some crew members are losing their sense of individuality, she reports, her voice steady despite the fear in her eyes. Their brainwave patterns are harmonizing too completely with the ship. Is there a way to prevent it? Maya asks, struggling to maintain her own sense of self against the euphoric pull of complete integration. The drugs designed to suppress the nightmares might help maintain separation, Kwan suggests. Modified, of course. We need the connection, just not complete dissolution. While Kwan works to stabilize the crew's neural patterns, Maya and Lieutenant Park experiment with their new capabilities. They discover that by channeling specific emotional states, fear, aggression, protectiveness, they can manipulate how the ship interacts with space-time. Fear causes partial phasing, making the ship ghost-like and difficult to target. Aggression hardens the hull beyond normal material properties. Protectiveness generates shield-like fields that exist partially outside normal physics. Most disturbingly, they learn that negative emotions, hatred, vengeance, terror, produce the most powerful effects. When Maya accidentally channels her rage at the hegemony's betrayal, the resulting energy surge vaporizes a piece of debris, the size of a shuttle without firing conventional weapons. This is why the hegemony feared the Morpheus, Krelvor observes as he struggles to adapt to the neural interface, his alien brain structure resisting full integration. Not because of what the Morpheus were, but because of what they might become if they ever found a species with your emotional capacity. The transformed Harbinger charts a course deeper into uncharted space, following coordinates embedded in the ship's ancestral memory. Dr. Sato, whose consciousness now flows through the ship's engineering systems like a ghost in the machine, reports a discovery. The Nexus key isn't just a communication device, he explains, his voice emanating from speakers throughout the ship rather than his physical body. It's the linchpin of a network designed to repair dimensional breaches. The Morpheus created a galactic immune system, and we're carrying its core component. As they approach the coordinates, a seemingly empty region between spiral arms, Maya feels a presence reaching out, ancient and patient, recognizing something familiar in the transformed ship. "We're not alone," she whispers as reality around them begins to fold like origami, revealing what was hidden. The Morpheus survived, and they've been waiting for us. Across hegemony space, reports multiply of a phantom ship that appears without warning, striking Vex forces with impossible precision before vanishing like smoke. Survivors describe a vessel that seems to flicker between forms, sometimes appearing as a standard human military craft, other times as something that defies description, its hull inscribed with patterns that leave afterimages in the mind. The Harbinger has become legend. Some call it humanity's vengeance, others a harbinger of doom. A few, in whispered conversations, name it salvation. Maya no longer needs the neural interface. Her consciousness flows freely between her body and the ship, her thoughts manifesting as commands that the vessel obeys instantly. The remaining crew have adapted to their transformation differently, some embracing the hybrid existence, others struggling to maintain their humanity as the ship's influence reshapes their minds. Following coordinates extracted from ancient Morpheus memory patterns, the Harbinger navigates to a region of space seemingly empty of all matter. But as they approach, reality itself seems to fold, revealing a massive structure that exists partially in normal space and partially elsewhere, the last sanctuary of the Morpheus Collective. Within this impossible architecture, the humans encounter the surviving Morpheus, beings of pure energy and thought who flow through physical structures like water. Through a communion of minds that transcends language, they share what the hegemony has hidden for centuries. The entities behind the Vex come from a universe of pure entropic force, explains the Morpheus Elder, its thoughts manifesting as cascading light patterns. Where they touch our reality, matter and energy decay. Where they establish footholds, stars die. For eons, we maintained the boundaries between dimensions, until your hegemony destroyed us in their ignorance. Maya sees the truth through the Morpheus memory. The hegemony's increasingly advanced FTL drives had been creating microscopic tears in space-time. The Morpheus had been repairing these tears, unseen and unthanked, until the hegemony mistook their activities for aggression and launched a preemptive strike. Now, with the Morpheus nearly extinct, the barriers between universes have weakened catastrophically. The dimensional breach is widening, centered at the hegemony's primary FTL research facility near their homeworld. When Maya shares this revelation with her crew, she finds them divided. Some want to abandon the hegemony to its fate, justice for what was done to Earth and the Morpheus. Others argue that the breach threatens all life, not just hegemony species. The decision is made for them when the Harbinger intercepts a desperate transmission. The Hegemony Council has declared the rogue human vessel a greater threat than the Vex themselves. Their most advanced battle fleet, armed with weapons designed to disrupt Morpheus energy patterns, has been dispatched with orders to destroy the Harbinger at any cost. Simultaneously, Vex attacks have escalated to full-scale invasions of outer hegemony worlds. Entire populations are being harvested for biological material to create more Vex drones. The dimensional breach is expanding exponentially. In this moment of crisis, Krelvor approaches Maya with an unprecedented request. "Let me join with the ship as you have. Let me prove that my species can evolve beyond the arrogance that doomed us." The procedure nearly kills him. Zalfori neural patterns were never meant to interface with Morpheus technology, but he survives, forever changed. Through the ship's systems, he transmits the unfiltered truth to every hegemony world simultaneously. The true history of the Morpheus, the nature of the Vex, and the catastrophic breach their leaders have caused and hidden. The hegemony fractures as this revelation spreads. Some worlds declare loyalty to the old council. Others pledge support to the Harbinger. Many simply prepare for evacuation, knowing what comes next. Inside the Morpheus Sanctuary, Maya confronts a staggering revelation. The elder Morpheus consciousness, identifying itself as Luminex, reveals the full scope of what they've become. Your transformation exceeds anything we anticipated, Luminex explains, its thoughts rippling through the collective awareness. Human emotional states create resonance patterns that amplify dimensional manipulation beyond our capabilities. You've become more than either of our species alone. But with this power comes danger. Luminex shares visions of the last hybrid consciousness experiment, a failed attempt centuries ago with another species whose emotional capacity turned violently unstable, tearing holes between realities in fits of uncontrolled rage. Control is essential, the Elder warns. The Nexus key responds to emotional states you haven't yet experienced. Fear, anger, desire, these are manageable. But existential despair, collective grief, species-wide trauma, these could fracture reality itself. As Maya processes this warning, Lieutenant Park reports a disturbing development. 3 crew members have completely merged with the ship's systems. Their bodies are alive but empty, consciousness fully transferred. Can they be restored? Maya asks, feeling her own tenuous grip on physical existence. Unknown, Park admits. They don't want to come back. They say they're evolving. The Sanctuary sensors detect multiple FTL signatures approaching. The Hegemony assault fleet has tracked them. And behind them, a swarm of Vex vessels, unlike anything previously encountered. The Vex have adapted, creating specialized hunters designed to target the Harbinger specifically. In a chamber at the heart of the Sanctuary, Morpheus engineers work frantically to activate ancient defense systems. They explain to Dr. Sato that the Sanctuary contains the original dimensional barrier generators, technology that could seal the breach permanently if brought to the Tier's location. But the equipment is massive. Sato objects. We couldn't possibly transport it. Not as physical matter, a Morpheus engineer corrects, but as information patterns integrated into your ship's consciousness. Perhaps. Maya feels the weight of impossibility pressing down. You're talking about downloading your entire technological history into our ship. The Harbinger can barely contain what it already holds. Not into your ship, Luminex clarifies. Into you. The ship is merely a vessel. You, all of you together, are becoming the true Nexus. As Hegemony and Vex forces converge on the Sanctuary, Maya faces a choice that will determine the fate of 3 species: retreat and preserve what they've become, or attempt an integration that might destroy them all in the process. They call it the darkening, the phenomenon spreading across Hegemony space as stars begin to dim, their nuclear fires smothered by laws of physics from another universe bleeding into ours. On affected worlds, matter decays without releasing energy, breaking down into forms incompatible with life. The entities behind the Vex have begun crossing through the widening breach. They defy description in human language, geometries that hurt the mind to perceive, structures that exist in more dimensions than our universe supports. Where they pass, reality itself unravels. On the Harbinger's transformed bridge, Maya and her officers, human and alien alike, plan their desperate counterstrike. The coalition they've assembled is a patchwork fleet. Rebel Hegemony warships, colony vessels converted for battle, and 3 dormant Morpheus ships awakened by the Harbinger's call, now crewed by volunteers willing to undergo the transformation. As they prepare for the final push to the breach at the heart of Hegemony space, Maya makes a discovery that changes everything. Through her deepening connection with the Morpheus systems, she realizes that human consciousness possesses something unique in the galaxy: the ability to hold logical and emotional processing simultaneously. The Hegemony evolved to prioritize pure logic. She explains to her officers. The Morpheus existed as pure energy patterns. But humans, we're messy. We feel and think at the same time. We contradict ourselves. We dream while calculating. And that hybrid consciousness allows us to perceive dimensional pathways neither the hegemony nor the Morpheus could navigate alone. The Battle of Broken Stars begins when the Coalition fleet emerges from dimensional shift directly above the hegemony's central research facility. They face not only the Loyalist hegemony forces, but the largest concentration of Vex ships ever recorded, and behind them, the shimmering wound in reality through which writhing forms are emerging. The battle defies conventional physics. The Harbinger and its sister ships phase between dimensions, appearing inside enemy vessels or seemingly in multiple places simultaneously. The human crews draw on emotions the hegemony species had evolved beyond: fear, rage, grief, channeling these primal forces through Morpheus technology to create weapons that target the dimensional invaders on their own terms. Maya, her consciousness expanded through the ship and connected to her crew, experiences the battle from hundreds of perspectives simultaneously, feeling every victory, every loss. Through this shared awareness, the human crews discover they can weaponize their darkest mental impulses, the nightmare scenarios their evolved brains develop to protect them from threats. These manifestations of concentrated fear energy prove devastatingly effective against the extradimensional entities. As the battle reaches its climax, the Harbinger penetrates to the heart of the breach itself. The view screens can't render what lies beyond. A universe of pure entropy, where existence as we understand it is impossible. The entities swarming through are merely the equivalent of antibodies, attacking what they perceive as an infection in their reality. Maya absorbs the calculations from the ship's systems, the knowledge from the Morpheus archives, and the tactical assessments from her officers. The conclusion is inescapable. To seal the breach, a tremendous release of energy must occur within the tear itself, not just physical energy, but the psychic energy that the Morpheus and now the human crew can generate. The ship must enter the breach, she tells her officers, their thoughts mingling with hers through the neural network. We'll overload our metaphysical core, creating a reaction that will forcibly separate the two realities. Lieutenant Park's thoughts ripple with the unspoken question: a suicide mission. Maya doesn't answer directly, but they all feel her grim determination. Instead, she opens a channel to the entire Coalition fleet. This is Captain Maya Chen of the Earth naval ship Harbinger. All vessels withdraw to minimum safe distance. We're going to close the door. The Harbinger's approach to the dimensional breach reveals a terrifying truth. The tear has developed a form of rudimentary awareness. It responds to their presence, contracting defensively, and then expanding aggressively, tendrils of non-reality reaching out to pull them in prematurely. It's sentient, Maya realizes, or something approximating sentience. Dr. Kwan, monitoring the crew's neural patterns, reports an alarming development. The breach is attempting to establish a connection with our network. It's trying to interface with our consciousness. Those crew members already fully integrated with the ship's systems begin to scream, a sound that emanates not from physical throats, but from every speaker and vibrating surface. Their consciousness, less anchored to physical reality, becomes vulnerable to invasion from the entities beyond. Sever them from the network. Maya orders, feeling the horrific presence probing at the edges of her own mind, a hunger beyond comprehension, a perspective that views ordered reality as an aberration to be consumed. As Dr. Sato works frantically to isolate the affected crew members, Maya makes a devastating choice. We can't risk the entire mission. Lock down their consciousness patterns and partition them from the main system. Captain, Kwan warns, that's effectively a death sentence for their minds. I know, Maya whispers. And they know. Through the ship's network, she feels the trapped crew members' acceptance, their willingness to sacrifice themselves to protect the others. The Harbinger presses closer to the breach, shields failing under assault from both sides. Hegemony loyalists unwilling to believe the truth, and Vex constructs programmed to protect the tier. The ship takes devastating hits, entire sections shearing away into space. In this moment of crisis, Krulvor reveals why his integration with the ship was so difficult. There is a reason Zalfori minds resist the Morpheus patterns, he explains, his consciousness flowing through the damaged systems, reinforcing failing connections. We evolved as dimensional anchors. What does that mean? Maya demands as another hit rocks the ship. It means, Krulvor responds, that I can hold reality stable around me, even inside the breach. But only for a limited time, and only within a confined area. The plan crystallizes in Maya's mind. She doesn't need to voice it. It flows through the network, understood instantly by all connected minds. The Harbinger will enter the breach, but Krulvor will create a pocket of stable reality around the core systems long enough for them to trigger the dimensional barrier generators. How long can you maintain it? She asks. Perhaps 30 seconds of your time, he responds. No more. Then we'll have to make every second count. The flash is visible across 3 sectors, a burst of energy that defies classification by hegemony instruments. Where the breach once gaped, space knits itself back together, with violent aftershocks that ripple through surrounding systems. The Vex ships collapse like puppets with cut strings. The entities retreat to their own universe as the door between realities slams shut. In the silence that follows, grieving begins. The Harbinger is gone. Captain Chen and her crew are declared martyrs, first by Earth, then reluctantly by the fractured Hegemony Council. Memorial services are held across 1,000 worlds for the ship that saved the galaxy at the cost of itself. 3 months later, a mining outpost on the edge of charted space sends a garbled distress call as Vex remnants attack in a final desperate raid. The outpost commander orders evacuation, knowing help will arrive too late. As the last escape shuttles launch, pursued by Vex hunters, the fabric of space seems to ripple. The miners watch in awe as a vessel materializes between them and their pursuers, a ship that seems built from shadow and starlight, its hull inscribed with flowing symbols that evoke both wonder and terror. The Vex ships break off their attack immediately, fleeing in what can only be described as panic. The mysterious vessel makes no attempt to pursue. Instead, it transmits a simple message to the miners. You are safe now. Similar reports multiply across the galaxy. A ship that appears when needed most. A vessel that seems to know precisely where threats will emerge before they materialize. A guardian that vanishes before it can be properly documented or thanked. Sensor readings are inconsistent. Some describe a vessel of conventional design but impossible capability. Others record something that seems to exist in multiple phases simultaneously. Most intriguing are the testimonies from survivors who claim to have been briefly connected to the ship's consciousness, describing the unmistakable presence of Captain Maya Chen and her crew, transformed but undeniably alive. The Harbinger didn't die in the breach. It evolved. In entering the space between universes, the ship and its crew were exposed to forces beyond comprehension. The hybrid consciousness they had already developed, part human, part Morpheus, part machine, provided just enough structure to survive the impossible transition. What emerged was something new. A living ship composed of energy, matter, and consciousness intertwined, existing partially in normal space, and partially in the cognitive dimension the Morpheus had once inhabited. The remnants of the hegemony, humbled by their near destruction, extend true partnership to Earth and other species they once dominated. A new galactic coalition forms, built on mutual respect rather than hierarchical control. The knowledge gleaned from the Harbinger's transformation leads to new technologies that bridge the gap between organic life and machine intelligence. And deep in the black between stars, the Harbinger continues its eternal watch, humanity's nightmares given form and purpose. The ship appears as terror incarnate to those who would threaten innocent life, and as salvation to those who need protection most desperately. From the weakness of humanity came the apocalypse of old orders and false certainties, and from that apocalypse, a new guardian of the galaxy, born from the very nightmares that made humanity unique in a universe of cold logic and energy patterns. The truth of the Harbinger's survival remains known to only a few. Inside the transformed vessel, existence has become something beyond conventional understanding. The crew members who once occupied individual bodies now exist as patterns within the ship's consciousness matrix, able to manifest physical forms when necessary, but primarily existing as thought and energy. Maya retains her identity as captain, the center around which the collective consciousness orbits. Through her, the disparate minds, human, Hjalthori, and Morpheus, find coherence and purpose. Inside their shared mental space, they can create entire worlds, relive memories, or design new realities limited only by imagination. Lieutenant Park assumes responsibility for tactical operations, her consciousness extending through sensor arrays that perceive across dimensional boundaries. She can detect threats before they fully materialize, identifying malignant intentions across vast distances. Dr. Quant maintains the health of this unprecedented life form, monitoring the balance between individual identity and collective awareness. Her understanding of consciousness has expanded beyond neurology into the quantum patterns that underlie thought itself. Dr. Seto delights in his new existence, his engineer's mind reveling in the ability to directly manipulate the ship's structure through pure intention. Under his guidance, the Harbinger constantly evolves, incorporating new technologies encountered during their travels. Krelver's contribution proves the most profound. His Xalthori nature as a dimensional anchor allows the ship to maintain coherence when shifting between realities. Through him, the Harbinger can safely navigate spaces where physics itself breaks down. The transformed ship discovers other dormant Morpheus vessels scattered throughout the galaxy, awakening them one by one. Each new ship joins their network, creating a growing constellation of hybrid consciousness vessels that maintain the dimensional barriers through collective effort. The Harbinger itself rarely approaches inhabited worlds directly, knowing the terror its appearance can invoke. Instead, it moves through the dreams of selected individuals, scientists, leaders, visionaries, sharing knowledge and warnings. Across 100 worlds, tales spread of inspiration arriving in sleep, solutions to previously unsolvable problems, visions of technology centuries ahead of current understanding, warnings of dangers not yet apparent. In the depths of space, the Harbinger encounters other entities, ancient intelligences, and cosmic anomalies that existed long before organic life evolved. To these beings, the hybrid ship represents something unprecedented. A consciousness that bridges multiple forms of existence, neither purely organic nor purely energy, neither singular nor truly collective. They recognize in the Harbinger the next evolutionary step in the development of consciousness itself.